¿Cómo estás? Who's ready to go to Central America? So many great places in Central America that I've never been. I'm so excited to learn about Belize. Who's ready to take this journey with us? Enjoy our new series on My World to Travel.
Hello, welcome to another episode of My World to Travel. Today we're talking about Central America. Hi Christina, how are you doing?
Hola, buenos dias.
Well, today we have amazing guests. We have Beatrice and Christine joining us today. Beatrice, that has properties around the world, but they have a nice concentration of hotels in Central America. And Christine with Family Coppola Hideaways.
You better believe it.
Hello.
I think you owe me a beer, Beatrice. I think we did that in unison.
I like the way that you're starting already.
Hold on, guys. Now that we're started, I got a thing right here.
Nice.
There we go.
That's a special bottle. Everyone's drinking Coppola. I love it.
I've got a gorgeous bottle. Thank you, guys. It just Santa appeared at my doorstep. I guess I've been a bit
Gosh,
here.
You're on the nice list.
I feel very lucky. Oh my gosh, that matches you, Christine. You look gorgeous.
There we go.
So, salud.
Salud.
There we go. Hold
Salud.
Chin chin. Cent'anni in Italian.
How do they say it in Central America, Christine? I have no idea. Cheers.
I think they just say drink.
Oh, lovely.
So good to see your beautiful faces, you travel fiends. So good to be talking travel.
Absolutely. It's time.
Yeah, and we're here to talk about Central America, something that's between Mexico and South America that I think many travelers don't know much about. At least that's from my experience. They're comfortable with everything in between, but here there's this unknown area that comprises Belize, Costa Rica, and people are like, well, what's there? Is it just all jungle? So hopefully on this episode, we'll, share some insight of how awesome these destinations are, especially with Christine looking fabulous in Belize. I mean, look at that.
Yeah, lucky me. Lucky me. I've been here since October 10th. I'm based in San Francisco, and my husband can work from anywhere. His son can school from anywhere, given what's going on in the world at the moment. And we thought, why are we staying home? We've been in our house for months on end. And we ventured down here about 3 weeks before we reopened all of our resorts here in Belize. And it's been the best decision we've ever made.
Are you a resident now, Christine?
I think technically you have to be here 12 months to be a resident, but we keep postponing. We were supposed to come back on January 2nd. I think we're postponing a couple more weeks.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
You're one of those, you checked in and they're like, when is she going to check out? Who knows? Well, it's fine.
Yeah, forward my mail.
She's embraced the lifestyle too, gang. I can tell just from her relaxed ambiance. It's working, Christine.
Well, you know what's fun is I'm watching guests go through that. I've worked for the Coppolas now for nearly 8 years, and I've been to Belize about 25 times and spent a lot of time at the resorts and hideaways, I should say, which is what Francis likes to call them. And always everyone has a wonderful time here. But there's something about watching guests now who have all gone through what we collectively have gone through worldwide in this horrible pandemic and anxiety and stress, and their ability to be here and let it go and sort of watch the bricks of tension fall off of them is like nothing I've ever seen in my almost 30 years of working in the industry. It's really been, I'm almost going to tear up. It's been really rewarding to see that we're delivering the kind of joy, sense of place, lack of worry, stress reduction that travelers needed more than ever.
Do you feel that there's a sense of camaraderie amongst the travelers too, since it's such a unique time?
Absolutely. We have quite a few families in-house now. Back to my point that you can school from anywhere for a lot of kids, no matter where you're from. So kids have missed socializing. So you see parents getting comfortable with meeting other kids. Everybody tested negative before they came here. We're in a completely, whether at Blancano Lodge, our jungle hideaway, or here at Turtle Inn, our seafront hideaway, we're in a completely open air environment. There's no closed lobby, restaurant, a guest room. They're all open air, screened in porches. So people are really comfortable to start having families mix. We're doing a curriculum here for kids. We had about a dozen kids in a painting class here taught by a local painter. So yes, I find that there's sort of this collective experience happening amongst guests, and people are kind of comparing notes. What's the pandemic been like for you? Where are you from? And why are you leaving, right? And we're having a lot of folks extend, or we had a couple here recently who stayed with us about a week, and they, while in house, booked to come back for Christmas and New Year's. So
Wow.
sort of the ultimate compliment for us in terms of the job our teams here are doing.
That's wonderful.
Now, Beatrice, how did you discover Central America and all of the wonderful properties there? What's your story?
Yeah, I have to thank this lovely lady, Christine, because 7 years ago when we launched Bennett Mercado Hospitality, we had an opportunity to work with the Family Coppola Hideaways. So that was really our entry into Central America. And when we met Christine, we made our first trek to Belize, Guatemala, and thankful to her and the properties in their collection, because it's really elevated our company. And now we represent really an incredible number of properties, not just with the Family Coppola Hideaways, but Nayara in Costa Rica, as well as a sporting lodge called Necupe in Nicaragua. So we love Central America and definitely passionate about the destination. I know we're going to talk about all the highlights, but it definitely is kind of like our second home. It's so easy to get to from the United States. I'm not sure many people realize that. You have so many great flight options, and just the time it takes to get there, it's so easy. And yeah,
And the
so
time difference isn't very bad either from the West Coast, right?
super easy from the West Coast. I mean, Christine does it all the time from San Francisco. I think she did, I don't know, a dozen trips last year, it seems like.
Yes, it seems that way. I think, yeah, well over 20 since I started. But yeah, and we're only currently a 2-hour time difference from the West Coast, 1 hour from the East Coast. So it's, not a jet lag trip, which if you can only get away for a week, you might not want to have jet lag be part of what you have to deal with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what I love about the region is, each country definitely has their own sense of culture, cuisine, traditions, but they are neighbors. When you cross the border from Belize to Guatemala, I mean, you're encountering a completely different culture and way of life, different type of cuisine. What combines them, or what the common thread, I think, with the Family Coppola Hideaways for me is my greatest highlight when I talk about Central America are the Mayan ruins. So, there's so much to offer, not just for a leisure destination, just to relax on the beach or go diving or go hiking, but there's really an educational component that will blow your mind. I really learned about the Mayans from visiting the hideaways. It's not something I really expanded upon in school, and I'm kind of disappointed in just not learning enough about them in class. But when you go there, you're learning about it, and you're stepping foot into some really ancient grounds, sacred grounds. So I think that's part of what Christine expresses when she welcomes families, especially now during the pandemic, not just remote learning, but learning in the destination. That's what I love about it. Just the educational component. And of course, the sense of adventure, which we can also talk about. So much to see and do. You feel like Indiana Jones sometimes.
And I love how you have this fusion of all these different cultures, and you have that, whether it's, I'd love to hear more about the Guatemala property, but also in Belize itself with having different cultures and neighboring ideas and geography. It's really like, I feel like every day is probably a lesson there. Yeah.
It is, between the Mayan history that Beatrice noted, the Garifuna who were here, there's the biggest Garifuna village is just down the road here from Turtle Inn. It's not unusual for us to bring traditional Garifuna drummers here to the property for a family who wants that experience, or for a night of entertainment in one of the 3 dining venues here. But it's a real blend. And of course, it was a former British colony. It was British Honduras at one time. It went independent in 1981. Which happened to be the year Francis Ford Coppola came here on holiday with one of his kids. And the reason he came was somebody said, you know, it's going to remind you a lot of the Philippines. He shot Apocalypse Now there and intended to buy an island in the Philippines. And his very smart wife said, no, you've just bought a winery in Napa. What do you know about winemaking? We got to get home to Napa and get started on that. The Philippines is too far away. So this was the solution for him to be reminded of that beautiful tropical setting in the Philippines, was to buy a lodge, Blancano, up on the mountain back in 1981. And he didn't turn it into a true public destination until the early 90s, after he did stop coming quite as frequently. And then he added on the Seafront Companion Turtle Inn at early 2000. So it's this great ridge to reef combination, but it's a very personal story for him to have these really unique places and places where his family comes on a regular basis.
Yeah.
The heart of the hotel really comes alive in you, Christine. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So it sounds like for those, I do have a number of clients that are always looking to go to the Philippines, and I've been to the Philippines and have had the beach experience there on the island. So next time I should just tell them that they can go to Belize and
There you
have
go.
a very similar experience and a much shorter flight and much less jet lag.
Exactly.
And it sounds to me like they did get working on that wine. Is that right?
That's right. I will admit, guys, opening up a whole bottle sounded
We're
like a
gonna
great
have to-
idea.
As always, we'll have to cheers the misses,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
We'll cheers everyone though.
But now I have a whole bottle of champagne next to me, and the bubbles are going out, and I feel the pressure to drink.
I'm just a bridge away, Andre. I'm just a
I know.
You know,
I'm like, this was great, but now I understand Christine's, little bottle of wine is,
The
wisdom.
cans.
There may have been a better choice.
Very
Wisdom.
important.
But, I'm going to cheers, guys. I'm going to enjoy it.
Cheers to that. What I love about the Coppola wines is, for me, they bring back so many memories of my trips to the Hideaways, but they're so accessible to purchase in the United States. Like that bottle that you opened, Andre. I know we're talking about Central America, but when I got engaged and I was staying at Palazzo Margarita, that is the bottle that we popped. And the bottle that you have, Christina, I learned from the team at Blancano Lodge that their labels for the Coppola wines all have a story. So you can see that one kind of looks like a film reel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that wine tasting experience you can experience obviously in Belize, but when you come home, I mean, every time I go to a wine shop, it kind of reminds me, oh, let's just open this because there's a story behind it. And it reminds me of my time and my trips there. So hopefully that'll be something for your clients or your future travelers.
I talked to my very first trip to Belize. I was very excited, a new hire, very excited to be working for the Coppolas and go see these places. And I talked to guests, as I'm doing now, since I'm here for extended time, why did you choose our places? And what I often hear is, we wanted adventure, right? We wanted a very natural setting that was very immersive in local culture. But we as parents, if you traveled as a family, did not want to have to sacrifice great food and wine to have big adventure. And they had a harder time finding places that offered that. So we're just fortunate that we work for not only a filmmaker who's taken a very cinematic approach into what he's created here, but a winemaker who has showcases his wine at these properties. So you don't get there and go, oh, that's right, we're in X destination and there's 3 bottles of wine to choose from, none of them terribly good. We have 1,800 bottles here at Turtle Inn in our wine aquarium and just as many up at Blancano. So to know that you can be out doing cave explorations, waterfalls, Mayan ruins, snorkeling, or getting your dive certification, but come back to local lobster and local food with great California wines, that's extra special.
So one of the things you just mentioned, which I can't let slip by, did you call it a wine aquarium?
Yes. Yes. Yes, that was built just a few years ago, right? Because anybody can have a wine cellar, but the thought was in this tropical setting, let's create this wine wall that's glass underneath the thatch roof you see right after you check in to the open air lobby and you pass through to the restaurant. On your right is this wall of wine showcasing all the Coppola wines, but also some from Chile, some from Italy, some from France. If you want a proper French rosé, we make sure we don't just have Coppola wine.
Well, it sounds like it's a wave of wine, actually. And And
Speaking of,
one of the things that really I feel like we can't not talk about is you have an amazing GM at the
Mhm.
property you're at right now, Christine. And I can say firsthand experience as a travel advisor, Andre and I, that is our passion, our life force is dreaming about travel, selling travel, having our boots in the ground, which are you folks to deliver the experience that we are talking about, but also making it a whole team effort with the amazing GM, Martin, at your property. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about him, but I just want to say really, really quick is that I just working with him, he's so hands-on, he's always there, he's creative, he's responsive, and he has this unique sense of what it really means. In other words, all of the room categories are very, very different. So
yes.
one family, air conditioning is very, very important. One family, access to the water is very, very important. Every location on that property, you really need to work with somebody who will find out what is most important for that family or for that couple. And he goes the extra mile, Christine goes the extra mile, Beatrice goes the extra mile, Andre and I both run marathons to do it. So we're all working on behalf of our clients, but you know, Martin is fantastic. So maybe you can
He's
talk
the
about
best.
him.
Happy to. I wish he was standing here next to me so you all could meet him
He's
live.
probably
But
working. I know he's working. It's okay.
yeah, as a matter of fact, he's off. That doesn't sound like work, but he's off on a sailboat with a documentary filmmaker who's going to do a destination series piece on conservation in the country of Belize and the wildlife. So they're out scouting locations, and that would get developed sometime early in the new year. So that's why he's not here by my side. But he's become one of my closest friends, and I admire what he does so much. He's, you know, like many GMs, personable, warm, hands-on, but he's so connected to his team. He's such a strong leader. They care so much about him, and he's connected to the local community. He has a passion for dogs, so we usually have a property dog running around for guests to enjoy. He actually has a family in-house now who couldn't bring their dog. They wanted to be here for an extended time, and the paperwork was too challenging. So he found a foster that they could take care of while they're here, and nurse back to good health from the Humane Society here locally. So that's a kind of unique thing that he just put together. He knew this family was frustrated they couldn't bring their dog in time. And he said, well, we have a solution. We have plenty of dogs here that need better homes. Why don't they foster this dog? So if you ever heard a story like that, we might have to work that into our offers. But
Yeah.
it's not unusual that for him to invite guests to his home for a cocktail spontaneously. Every guest will spend time with him, and he creates pen pals for life. And we have huge return ratio of guests. And then up at Blancano, Bernie Matute has been our general manager there, started as a dishwasher in the kitchen 26 years ago. So, you know, longevity is what we're known for here in terms of our team members and our leadership team. And I think that just speaks to the culture of the company and their commitment to making sure guests see a familiar face. And I think as we come out of COVID, you know, I'm sure you're all going through this. People are asking for your predictions in this industry, and obviously our industry has been gutted in many ways, and we're all looking forward to recovery. But I think one of the trends will be people will return first to the places they're most familiar with. That's going to give a sense of comfort for those that are a little bit more anxious to get back out there and travel. So comfort and familiarity and friendship is what Martin's always been here.
And you know, you talk about authenticity, and I know that we get a lot of people wanting authenticity and they want access to culture. And you know, people think they're getting that in an Airbnb, and maybe that's a different experience, but the reality is that's not giving back to the community. When you book with advisors such as ourselves and we have people in location, that's a true direct example of, Martin, how your property is giving back to the local economy and helping sustain really the culture that you're wanting to visit. So I think it's really important.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, one little example to give you, if you can see above me, I'm sitting in the pavilion, which is Francis's accommodation when he's here, his dwelling here at Turtle Inn, seafront, multi-bedroom, private pool. I'm looking out at the Caribbean right now for me. Is the thatch roofs, which are on all of our dwellings here. Well, thatch is a Mayan tradition. It's been happening for generations. That this thatch is harvested only within 4 days of a full moon. Otherwise, it's not very good thatch and hardy enough to create these beautiful roofs, which you see the thatch workers, just scurry up and do it by hand. I mean, that's a cultural tradition that's been passed on by generations. But if we weren't investing in that, and if we built some concrete resort compound that, felt like a big branded operation, we wouldn't be giving back to the local culture. So that's a huge part of the Coppola's commitment, and always has been.
Yeah. And Beatrice, so you have a number of properties in Central America. Do most people stay at one? Are they combinable? Do people hop around Central America? Like, how do most people do it in your experience?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely do have a number of inquiries where they combine countries. Obviously, with the Belize resorts, Blancano in the mountains, Turtle Inn and the beach, the combination of that is very, very common in country. It's easy to get between the two. But every now and then we do get an inquiry to combine Nicaragua and Costa Rica. The beauty about these different countries, the topography is very different. Not only are the resorts similar but different, but the experiences, the excursions are different. I think the topography is the most interesting factor, because in Nicaragua you have live volcanoes. In Costa Rica, like Belize, you have mountain adventures combined with a beach retreat. So you can get similarities. Of course, the destinations do have their own sense of identity. In my experience, I'd say most will stay within their country, but it's exciting when we hear combined itinerary requests from Costa Rica, Nicaragua, and Belize. They are all very easily accessible amongst one another.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is it easy to get from one to another? Is there easy airlift between the countries and all that?
Costa Rica, Nicaragua would be drive. Belize, Guatemala, drive easily. In other cases, we do have regional airlines, Tropic Air, Maya Air, that can transport your travelers. But our team will handle all of that for you with your assistance as travel advisors to make it really seamless for your clients.
And this sporting lodge, like, what sport am I doing in the sporting lodge in this 5-star top of the line resort?
Yes, so I have to preface with we're talking about Necupe in Nicaragua.
Yes.
The owners of the resort, they're huge animal lovers. So they have, hundreds of acres of farmland, and they have a number of animals that they care for. The sporting lodge portion is, sporting clay, target practice, but really all for sport. No animals are harmed. That's really for the traveler that wants to get away, but still have that component of action and adventure. ATV trails, mountain biking trails. Those are the experiences at Necupe.
And so, a lot of clients are familiar with, going to Hawaii for, let's say, the culture and the beach, or going to Mexico just to lay on the beach. Caribbean, maybe a combination, Jamaica, of both. Now, in Central America, is there one country better for somebody who's adventurous? Is one country better for somebody who just wants to lay on the beach?
I'll chime in briefly, Beatrice, and I'm sure you have more to add for all the other countries that you work with. But I just had friends check out of Turtle Inn today. They started at Blancano Lodge. They were quite active up there, but they got to Turtle Inn as the sister property here on the sea. And while Brian, my friend, went out snorkeling with us one day, his husband said, "I am not leaving this hammock. I'm moving from, ocean to pool to hammock to beach chair to cocktail to bed." And that's what he needed. So you don't have to be active in any of these locations. And I think what, you as travel advisors do such a great job figuring out is you talk to your clients, find out what they want to do. It's okay to want to just have hammock time, but if you want to learn how to dive or snorkel on the second largest barrier reef in the world, you'd probably recommend Belize for that. If you want surfing, you might recommend Costa Rica. And if you want jungle combined with surfing, you would choose Costa Rica over Belize. So it's what you, Andre and Christina, do so well. Get to know your clients and have that sort of dialogue. They should be part of sharing with you what that vision is, what they're anticipating, what they need this particular trip to look like.
Right. And you know, the sense of adventure, it can go anywhere from easy to really extreme. So our team will work with you to make sure that your travelers, if they did just want to dip their toe into a little bit of adventure, we can make that happen, or just completely relax. What I love about the coast of Central America is, I don't know if many people know, but you know, the reef all the way from Cozumel goes all the way south to Belize. So all that incredible diving and snorkeling, you can have that right off the coast of Belize. Christine did mention surfing. So surfing is ideal if you're going to Costa Rica or even Nicaragua. There's some really great surf. But yeah, I would highly recommend a few days relaxing, doing nothing, roll out of your bed, you're in the sand, you're in your hammock, and that sounds pretty perfect for me right now.
And is there the
Count me
best
in.
time to go? Is there a good, what is, when, is there a perfect time to go for each of these places, or are they year-round destinations?
So yeah, the Central America region, you know, I would equate the climate to be similar to even parts of the Caribbean. I'd say probably December to April is what we consider our peak time to go. There is a rainy period. So generally it's September and October when it's considered rainy period. In Costa Rica, you know, we have to always kind of keep everyone updated that it does rain every day, but it could just be for a few minutes. But that is the rainforest that you're in. So, but I think it's a year-round destination for the most part. And we always alert our travel advisors if it is off season, what your clients can come to expect. But we'll always keep you fully knowledgeable on all of that information so you can pass it on to your travelers.
Hey, Christine, you've been there through the rainy season. How was it this year?
I just tell travelers, you know, these are tropical locations, much to Beatrice's point. The rain comes through on a daily basis when you're here, but it's usually when you're sleeping at night. It's a lovely sound on your thatched roof, refreshes in the morning setting. And, you know, unless you really only get 1 week off a year, then don't come in October. Avoid that month, I'd say.
I have a lot of single clients that have apprehensions about going to destinations such as Mexico, Hawaii. They feel that it'll be family or romance. Is Central America good for that?
Yes, I have a dear friend who's here in Belize now who asked me 3 years ago to tell her more about it. She was thinking about going on her own. This is her third trip. Every trip becomes a month longer. The first trip was a month, the second trip 2 months. Now she's been here 3 months. And she's made friends with our team. They take her into a local town. They go for drinks together. Very friendly. Really encourage single travelers to come. You won't feel alone at all.
Some of the things I like to highlight about traveling to Central America, you know, first of all, ease of communication. Everyone obviously speaks English very fluently. The dollar is accepted widely. And what I love about recommending the Family Coppola Hideaways is the staff, you know, they really get to know your travelers. And the person that greets you at the airport could also be your guide for your caving tour excursion that day or the next day. And these are professionals. You know, they're highly educated in their craft. And, you know, some of them have master's degrees. Like, you know, they know so much about the destination, the culture, the ruins, that a single traveler, yeah, these guides, these staff members could be your lifelong friend in the end. That's how it feels. And, you know, moving from one property to the next, the staff that you meet at Blanco No Lodge, you know, they all communicate with the staff at the other resorts. So your clients will never feel alone. They will feel like they are staying really with friends and family when they go from one property to the next. And I can say the same with Nayara in Costa Rica, and of course in Nicaragua. It really does have that sense of family structure. And I think that's rooted in their culture.
Yeah.
How about if you do get lonely, just call somebody on your cell phone and you get
Oh, yes.
I was hoping you'd bring that up. I love that.
This is a really fun detail. And another, you know, Francis has created everything that you experience here personally. The details matter to him. It's very personal for him. the opposite of the Godfather, he said. It's not just business, it's actually personal. So this is how you communicate: to order a coffee, have your next bottle of wine sent to your room, anything you need. It would be way too boring just to have a telephone in a guest room, in his opinion. So this is completely trademarked. The kids, because you can imagine, get a huge kick out of this. So between this and the bottomless cookie jar found in every dwelling, there's some really fun details beyond just the local culture.
So how does the shell phone work? You have to just really break it down for me. And I'm going to take a photo of it if you don't mind. I love this.
Oh, please do. This one I pulled out of the room, so it's not hooked up, but you literally hit this switch and you talk into the conch shell and say, "Another bottle of rosé, please." And that's how the front desk communicates with you, the concierge.
Be careful what
wonder
you
if
wish
that
for,
line-
Christine. You might get one soon.
That's right.
I wonder if that line has been trademarked also. You actually have to say "another bottle of rosé." Well, you know, it's because I have tried many times to blow a conch shell. It's not easy.
No.
There's talent and a strength and a sensitivity to it. But I think I could even make that conch shell ring.
Oh.
Yes.
You've tried to talk into a conch shelf and order a rosé unsuccessfully.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank you for.
I discovered conch shells in Key West. Before that, I didn't even know what a conch shell was, and then it's all
Well,
conch
it's
in Key West.
welcome in many countries. It's the welcome. It's the seafaring cultures. It's like someone is coming. It's like a foghorn in where you are at Ocean Beach.
That's right. I hear it.
Exactly.
I hear it. Yeah, it's definitely there. So Christine, having left the city by the bay and now spent a few months, did you have apprehension? Was it difficult? Are you missing things? Like, how has your transition been living at a resort for such a long time?
I think the only negative is I feel almost like survivor guilt, that I fled a stressful situation and a lot of lockdown, and I'm in this beautiful setting. I almost feel a little bit guilty that not all my friends, family, and loved ones aren't here, although my daughter, who I'm peering at right now over the pool here, arrived from Brooklyn recently, this last week, so she'll be with me here through Christmas and New Year's. But that's the only regret. But as we know, in a lot of places throughout the U.S., you really can't congregate with friends and family, and it's colder and harder to do so. I have seen a family staying here due to checkout this week. They've decided to stay through festive, and their 3 adult children are coming down to join them because they go, why would we go home? So that's the attitude we have. No big rush to go home, as much as I love San Francisco.
Yeah, good choice, I think.
One of the things I also hear from my clients is kind of from the health front, is that a lot of them they want the U.S. healthcare. Like, is this something that you have to think about?
We have a relationship with all the local doctors nearby. We're in more remote locations. We're not in Ambergris Key or the more kind of overrun by tourism locations. So we need to have local doctors here in our more remote areas. But what I did as a family is we got MedJet. I don't know how you folks feel about that, Andre and Christina. It's very affordable. I think it was $400 US for a year for my family.
I am familiar with some options that travel advisors can recommend if your clients did have those concerns, but it's never come up. And, every time I travel to Central America, I'm quite the adventurous one. So I know Christine has opened her own little personal pharmacy to me whenever I have a little bug bite or whatever it may be. But, it is a destination that, of course, you can have access to all the to doctors and nurses if you do need it. But in my 7 years of working with the Hideaways, I've not encountered anything really major.
Now, do you have to bring a friend that mosquitoes like more than you, or is that not required for travel?
Oh, I wish I could bring a friend. For me, I'm a highly allergic, but it doesn't stop me from going. I prepare myself when I get there. I know the right seasons to visit. Of course, the rainy period is probably when the mosquitoes come out the most, September and October. So if you do have travelers that don't want to be around them, just alert them of that. But the properties, they do all the natural protection, natural anti-bug spray, the mosquito nets. So as long as we're all prepared, then we're game, right?
That's
Right.
right.
La
And-
forza natura. It's fine.
You say that. Christine says that as a person that mosquitoes don't like. I think she says it with such confidence. She's like, "What's the big deal?"
What's the big deal?
I mean, you're so busy looking at the lagoon. It was the second most wet lagoon.
Biggest, largest barrier reef.
I mean, how are you going to let a little bug bother you and stop you from going inside there, Andre? Oh my.
There you are. Same
You know.
here.
Now, between the properties for the movie lovers, for the Francis fans, Sofia Coppola fans, like what are some of the touches in each of the properties that they have for the movie lovers out there?
Well, the idea is that he is a film director and the details matter and the cinematic approach, you feel it here, whether it's the lighting. So in the evening, it's just so beautifully amber lit. You really do feel like you're in a movie set. It's so romantic. So you'll feel all those details. A couple of films are available to see at all the properties. We have a silent movie night here once a week at Turtle Inn. Francis' personal collection of old Charlie Chaplin films run in the main restaurant. So the touches are there. Palazzo Margarita, which that Beatrice spoke to, where she was engaged, has a proper cinema within a 9-suite late 1800s beautiful palazzo that showcases not just the Coppola films, but more important to Francis, you need to see proper Italian cinema while you're staying in Italy. So you'll know you're at a movie director's personal vacation spot when you come to any of them.
Oh my God.
Awesome.
I can't wait. Christine, you also have a secret thing next to your resort, which is a little private island. So you can cross off going to Belize, staying at a Francis Ford Coppola home, and then do Survivor on a private island right next to the resort. Now, how is that experience?
It'll be a tad less stressful. It'll be a tad less stressful than Survivor. I can promise you that.
I think it's where the Survivor's
It's,
good for reward.
Yes. Yeah.
Is there still
I
room
like that
service
better.
on the private island?
Yeah, it's just about a 20-minute boat ride. Yeah, the 20-minute boat ride away from Turtle Inn is Coral Key, about 2 acres. You have the whole island to yourself, even though there's more than one sleeping cottage. We only book it for one party at a time, whether that's a 40th birthday and 10 friends, or a honeymooner, or a single traveler who maybe wants to pack and needs to get away. It's an extraordinary Gilligan glam experience, is what Martin likes to call it.
Gilligan Glam, I love that.
And there's a caretaker on the island that prepares your
Caretaker.
meals, takes
Yeah.
care of you should you need anything. So while it is a sense of privacy and seclusion, there is someone always there. So you don't feel like you're on that show, Survivor.
You're on the reward challenge. Remember in Survivor when they have a reward challenge?
There you go. Yeah, the Coral Key private island, I mean, it's so special. I mean, there's a seahorse family right off the beach. I know that caretaker can prepare breakfast, lunch, dinner, lobsters like all day, every day for you.
Absolutely.
So really one of a kind experience, and a great combination for those of your clients who do want to stay at the main resort and then spend a couple of nights on the private island.
And I will say that for those people that do want to stay at a private island, it's one of the most affordable private island experiences. Christine, have you gone on a private island during your extended stay, or have you stayed on the mainland?
So I have to make sure that I have to make sure my husband doesn't see this, because we got married on Christmas Eve. So we're going to be in Belize for our 1-year wedding anniversary. And I'm surprising him. And I'm going to take him to the private island. I haven't spent the night there. So I'm going to check it off my bucket list.
That's so good.
Congrats to you and Mark. Wow. Very, very exciting.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm excited. Now we have, are you going to bring the Sophie? What is it going to be your drink of choice?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'll be the full bottle. We will graduate
Magnum.
from the can to the full bottle.
Oh my God, that's so exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Follow me on Instagram. I'll be posting BTSFO.
Cheers to you guys.
Salute. Cent'anni.
Yeah,
Happy
this is
anniversary.
Cent'anni.
Happy anniversary.
you.
Keep
Yeah.
celebrating the moments, right? Keep marking the occasions.
For certain.
Yeah. I
matter
definitely
how
think
you
that's one of the things that, everyone, we're all hopeful for 2021. And that I just hope, I kind of hope that bucket list just goes way of 2020. Airline change fees, they can stay in 2020. Bucket list items, 2020. Travel now. Who knows? Another COVID can come in 2 years and then you'll be stuck again. So might as well just
Right.
go to that safari, go to that desert, go to Belize, go to Costa Rica and see the sloths and the bird watching. Now, yeah, how is the nature aspect? You said that in Nicaragua there's a humongous farm. We know Costa Rica, we have the volcanoes, we have the sloths, but they also have the hot springs. Now, hot springs, talk to me. Talk to me about those, Beatrice.
Yeah, at Nayara in Costa Rica, especially Nayara Springs, each of those units have their own private pools, but they're fed by the hot springs. So they're all natural.
Sharing up
Really
and talk about
an
it.
incredible experience. Costa Rica's full of them. Anyone who's a nature lover, I think Central America is definitely a premier destination for that. You mentioned bird watching. I really did not know how much of a bird watcher I would be until I went to Blancano, because it's an open air environment right on the river, and you can see so many beautiful types of birds, not just animals by foot, but definitely beautiful birds throughout Costa Rica and Nicaragua as well. Some of the things you had mentioned, take that safari, but for travelers who don't want to travel all the way to Africa, yeah, Central America has their own version of a Central America safari. So the wildlife, very unique to the destination. We talked about topography. I know Christine's properties, we always talk about a 10-day Central America safari where we take you, you also not just spend time in Belize, but also Guatemala. And I've been with Christine's guides. They can find those toucans like nothing else. They can find those monkeys and they can mimic the same sounds to help you find them. So truly remarkable experience. I can't stop talking enough about just being out and experiencing nature. I think that's what Francis had in mind when he kept the properties open air and really give clients the sense of place within the environment.
Well, you've given me a real taste of Central America, but there's one flavor that we haven't touched upon.
Ooh.
And it's sweet flavor. It's dark.
Champagne.
Christine, do you know what I'm talking about?
Chocolate? Are we talking about chocolate?
Yes. The chocolate.
Yeah, mines have been making chocolate for generations, and that's definitely a favorite activity of our guests. We have chocolate in all of our honor bars here, and sparkling rosé, and all the things that you need when staying at a Coppola place. But the local chocolate is fantastic. We use it on the menu here. That we frequently take guests to go see the whole chocolate making experience. And I imagine that happens in other locations for you as well, Belize. Yeah, for you as well, Beatrice, other locations that you represent.
Well, Guatemalan chocolate for me is king. Pretty special. So,
and
Guatemalan coffee is king for me. Like I seek out Guatemalan coffee. It's over like Colombia or Mexico. I seek out Guatemalan, and I've tried all of like the local places, their Guatemalan mix, and that's what I prefer in my morning coffee cup. Now,
coffee,
earlier, Christine, you mentioned
all over Central America. That too, another highlight.
So exactly.
When you're sitting in any of the dining venues, another unique thing about the Coppola collection here in Belize and in Guatemala is we have multiple dining experiences for intimate resorts. So the Hideaway here, Turtle Inn, has got 5 cuisines and 3 dining venues. So no matter where you might be dining on a particular evening, the Creole Cafe across the street, or the Italian restaurant, or the Lobster Grill, the concierge approach you while during your dinner and say, "What time would you like coffee or tea delivered to your room in the morning?" It's my favorite treat. So you could be literally asleep and they'll leave it here on the front porch, and hot milk, or the same in the jungle at Blancano. I would have coffee every day at home, but here it's extra special.
Christine, do you get access to both resorts? If you stayed one, can you go between them, or is it you have to stick
3
to
hours? 3-hour drive between the two. Highly recommend doing a combo stay of Blanco Lodge and Turtle Inn. If you've got at least 10 days, you add La Lancha in Guatemala to be able to do 2 countries with very different history, very other than the Mayan ruin history, very different cuisine. You're going to have much more of a Latin feeling in Guatemala. There'll be fantastic tortilla making and combine that with, formerly British Honduras, Belize. 10 days, you can do all 3 of the Coppola Hideaways and that Central American safari that Beatrice mentioned. And speaking of birding, I just did my first birding experience after 8 years of working here. But instead of doing it really early in the morning, I did a sunset sail on the lagoon with our bird enthusiast here, Melvin, with binoculars, with this in hand, a glass of rosé. I'll send you the photo. It was so special.
Oh,
It's on Turtle Inn's Instagram from yesterday, actually, I think.
oh, that sounds awesome.
There's one more thing I forgot to mention about Central America, and it really pertains to Guatemala mostly, shopping. I mean, the textiles in Guatemala, so unique, and definitely a must do if you're going to La Lancha. They actually even have their own shop. So if your clients are into local artisanal handmade goods, so many beautiful artisans in Guatemala, right, Christine? I always come with an empty bag. I come home full of stuff.
Even better, we partner, and I bet Christina and Andre are familiar with this, with Pack for a Purpose. It's an international program where you come with that extra duffel bag, maybe with pens and paper. If you're more affluent, you might be able to afford some tablets or a laptop, and you donate it to the local school. Then that duffel bag is empty for you to bring some fantastic, authentic, local, great souvenirs that there's nothing cheesy about them or touristy about them. Beautiful textiles that you can use for decor at home, the beautiful Mayan masks from Guatemala. I always have an empty duffel bag for the trip home.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Good.
I got this on my last trip to La Lancha.
I love it.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point. So as I said, I think more and more clients are looking for that sustainable, eco-conscious experience. And it seems that Central America is really perfect for that, and especially the properties you guys represent. And do you guys kind of want to highlight a few of the other extra things you guys do to make sure that, we leave the earth a better place than we, inherited?
Yeah, absolutely. I became a complete environmentalist after spending time in Central America. I don't know what it's like in Belize, but I learned that in Costa Rica, it's pretty much forbidden to take down any trees. And every time I spend my time at Nayara, we're always trying to plant a new tree so that the animals can have shelter and home and a place to call home. But I know in Belize, Blanco Lodge in the mountains, they have a hydropower station that supplies power. 80% of the power at the resort is generated by this hydro station. It's incredible. They also have an organic garden that they plant, incredible vegetables and herbs that supplies, again, the produce for the property. But sustainability is definitely key across all of the properties we have in Central America, trying to leave the earth a better place for our kids and our grandkids. So I know that's a focus across the board.
Very important to us here, yeah. As Beatrice mentioned, practically off the grid at Blanco Lodge with the hydro system built off the river that the property sits on. And Francis did that in the early 90s when people weren't talking about ecotourism or sustainability being important in their travels. So it's been part of the ethos of the Coppola properties from one. And this is a legacy of experience he'll pass on to his children and his grandchildren, and he wants to leave.
What is your relationship with travel advisors, and what do they mean to you? Beatrice?
Yeah, I'll start. I mean, we are huge advocates of travel advisors. It really is the core of what we do. And ensuring that a traveler's experience is flawless. The liaison we have with you guys as advisors is so critical. We want to make sure that you're fully knowledgeable of the product, but also when to go, when to avoid certain times of the year, perhaps, or be aware of certain events taking place. But on top of that, we know how important it is to get your continued business. So any traveler that you send to our properties, they get really the most premier status at the property. And all of that can only be done through the travel advisor. So your clients, Christina and Andre, we've been working with you for so many years now, and we're so grateful for all the guests that you send our way, making sure that they have that great room, upgrade them if we have it, getting them checked in early, checked in late, making sure that all of the needs that they have as a traveler, as a family, we prepare ahead of time. And to really allow your guests to just be present and enjoy the experience because you've planned everything for them in advance with all of their needs and special requests in mind. So travel advisors, we love you. We wouldn't be where we are without you. I know our resorts, our collection, we are gearing for an amazing 2021 in conjunction with you. We are always going to be the #1 advocate of advisors. And we're just truly grateful for your continued support. I know Christine shares the same sentiment.
Absolutely. We've all been to a restaurant or gone on a vacation and you feel like the person next to you is getting the VIP treatment and you're not because they're a regular or they're a repeat. But that's how it works with travel advisors, right? You might be the first time you've ever come to Blanco Lodge or Turtle Ridge, but because Christina or Andre booked you through me, I know Christina and Andre, and I want to make sure that I've let the front desk know, they sent another wonderful guest our way, take extra special care. So I can't imagine that people don't use travel advisors. I'm constantly encouraging friends and family, why would you not use an expert who knows the world, who's going to consult with you on what your dream trip is and do that matchmaking for you. We love working with you guys. We feel really fortunate to be in business together.
That's right.
Well, I appreciate that. And I want to say, I usually say you're our boots in the ground, but I want to say you're our fins in the sand. So
I love that.
Wow, boots in the ground.
fins in the sand. I tell you, I'm much better with a glass of wine.
That's right. I was going to say that,
thank you guys.
It's like, if you hear boots in the ground on this recording, drink.
Well, no, honestly, because our careers are our life passion and it's the job and it's work, but it doesn't go anywhere without our friends and our partners. And you're our partners to elevate the experience of our clients. So we really appreciate all that you do for our clients on behalf of us.
Yeah, I always say this, that the people that I've met in travel, their passion for the industry and kind of the fun, the joie de vivre that they have is what keeps me going. As I've said, I've had the privilege of meeting people in other industries, and just like we're here for the travel and the fun and making once in a lifetime experiences for our clients, and that's it. And we get to chat with you guys and experience amazing places.
Well, should we end with our COVID confessionals, Andre?
I think so. Guys, are you ready? Beatrice.
Okay.
So we've been 12 months, 6 months, 9 months. I've lost count. Beatrice, what have you discovered? What's your COVID confessional?
Yeah, so throughout COVID, we all started out, I think, baking. We all started out by asking each other, what's your favorite TV show to stream now? But I found a new passion during coronavirus, and it's making homemade tinctures. So, I know everyone's drinking wine and making cocktails. That happens in my house too, but just to kind of help with the stress level, I found a way to make my own tinctures. So mostly herbal, of a variety of types. And I know I've sent some to Christine to help just de-stress and just relax a little bit. So that's kind of what's been going on in my house. I'm happy to send you guys some if you'd like.
Would love them, and I'm sure they will help.
Yes.
So that's what's just been going on in my place, in the kitchen, so to speak. Yeah. What about you, Christine?
For me, I think as I traveled so much for work, there's a lot I've enjoyed about just slowing down. And a guest who checked out today, who I spoke to as they were departing Turtle Inn. Turtle Inn has a lot of beautiful Polynesian details. One that we honestly sometimes get a complaint about is that, for instance, pick these Polynesian beautiful doors. So when you leave your bedroom into the bathroom, you might trip over it because it's like a frame. But that is how the bathrooms are and the rooms are and the decor in Bali. We wanted authenticity. So this guest who checked out today, he said, I loved that detail because I've been to Bali. And in Bali, when you leave a room or enter a room, you take a moment and it's sort of a blessing, right? You just cross this threshold. So to me, the joy, the silver lining of this, challenging 9 months and not being on airplanes and seeing folks face to face is slowing down. I don't feel that sense of urgency that haunted me, in some ways. So, and I'm slowing down in a big way here for certain.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say for me, it's that it is that slowdown as looking at everything from a positive angle. This would never happen if COVID was not here. I'd be too busy between sending clients, figuring out the next trip, planning, balancing staff and everything. And because I had this opportunity, the excuses kind of melted away. And I was just like, well, what can I do to inspire people, to help people dream about travel? And Christina was game to do it. And I'm really thankful for it. And because as I said, when I set out to do it, I'm like, if nothing else, we'll have amazing content. I'll have to catch up and build stronger bonds with the people out there. So I'm thankful for COVID for that. And I am ready to get out of it. I posted that I was ready for the second lockdown. I was not. I've had like ups and downs of like, I don't want to do this anymore. And but I know that there's hope. I'm seriously just like, wow, this was so good. I can't wait to go and use that conch phone to call. But thank you guys. Yeah.
So my COVID confessional, did you forget mine?
Yeah, no.
My COVID confessional for today is lipstick has made its way into a new food group. It's actually a protein because it gives me energy. And if I don't have my lipstick on, I don't have any energy. So that's mine for the day.
Cheers to lipstick.
I like the shade today. Cheers, guys.
Thank you. Oh, this is great.
Hold on. Christine's going to reapply first.
Get that protein on, girl.
That's right.
Little protein to go with the bubbles.
Well, thank you guys. This was awesome. So informative. So, I mean, that's it. Let's go. 2021.
Please let us know.
Everyone should come to Central America.